from being labeled as a league-altering talent to the intangibles he brings to the court. Here's why Victor Wembanyama is making the NBA go crazy. In fact, his impact's so huge that he was being touted as a league-altering talent before even entering the NBA draft. You see, shortly after the 2022 draft, everyone's focus shifted from Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren to Victor Wembanyama, which is nuts if you think about it. Banchero and Holmgren are special talents, and they've got a really high ceiling, but no matter what they accomplish in the NBA, they can never compare to Victor. He's a generational talent, and if you doubted that, take a look at what NBA insiders had to say about him in 2022. They were calling him a league-altering talent because they believed he'll change the way franchises play when he came into the NBA. They weren't wrong. Every team that could tanked like never before, just so they could have a shot at drafting Vic.
Hard thing to challenge, right? Between the legs, that handle and fluid.
I mean, things got so bad that a franchise actually got fined for making their tanking so obvious. Yep, Mark Cuban. Have some shame. The Charlotte Hornets and the Detroit Pistons didn't even try, and the Houston Rockets along with the San Antonio Spurs did the same in the West. Portland gave up long before final run-in, losing 9 of their final 10 games, and the Utah Jazz followed suit, only winning 2 of their final 10. Even the Mavs, Wizards, and Orlando Magic joined the race, but can anyone blame them for doing this? Wemby's an alien, and any team would be lucky to have him on their roster. LeBron James was asked about Wembanyama, and he was in pure shock watching him ball against the G League Ignite. Anyone familiar with the sport will tell you that the king has a serious eye for talent. After all, he's the one who discovered Steph Curry, and if his prediction about Wemby is anywhere near what he said about Steph, then the NBA struck gold. King James added that most unique talents are given the tag of unicorn, but Wembanyama is extremely one of a kind, and that's why he's more than a unicorn, he's an alien. That much is true because Wemby's debut game in the US was one for the ages, and fans realized that he wasn't overhyped as he destroyed the best player the US had to offer, Scoot Henderson, in that draft class. It's obvious, not only is Vic going to be the face of the league, but he's also going to dominate the NBA like LeBron did. Any team watching him on those nights knew that they had to get him. But only the Spurs were lucky enough to land the young star, and unsurprisingly, he's already had such a huge impact on the franchise. Right after the picks were confirmed, rumors started circulating that legendary Spurs coach, Greg Popovich, who was set to retire at the end of the 2022 season, is reconsidering his decision. Can you blame him? He's got the chance to coach the best talent the NBA has seen since LeBron, and that'll allow Pop to lay the foundations of yet another Spurs dynasty. So what if he's 74? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he'll definitely consider taking it. More importantly, Wemby's made it clear that he wants to be coached by Pops, and that's what makes all this very interesting. He had a big impact on the league, forcing teams to lose games on purpose just to have a shot at landing him. And now he's got his new team doing everything in their power to keep him happy before even playing a game for them. The Spurs were also the ideal team for Wembanyama, considering their history of dealing with French players, and now Vic's got them planning for the future. Remember, this is a team more than happy to let their stars go, but the front office will be shaking off the rust as they join the race for some star options, so that they can improve the supporting cast around Wemby. But the question is, what makes Wembanyama so freaking special? Well, for starters, check out his height. Wemby's still a teen, but he stands at 7'3", which is even taller than Rudy Gobert. But the thing is, being tall doesn't guarantee success. Just look at Kristaps Porzingis. The Latvian's also 7'3", and he's a good player. But there's no way he'd be considered a franchise-altering talent. It's what Wemby can do with his height that makes him so dangerous, so unique, and so special. If you've never seen him play, I'll try to paint a picture. Wemby will be one of the tallest players in the league, but he's got handles like a point guard and can shoot like prime Kevin Durant. Oh, and you know how every tall player is a lock to be a center, right? Wemby's not going to be one of them. He enjoys being a forward more than a center and can run plays for fun too, especially in clutch time. So, we're dealing with a player who can do all things you'd expect a point guard to do, but he's taller than anyone else in the league and still growing. No wonder he's being hailed as the next big thing. People have compared him to Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Durant, and I feel like those are the two most accurate comparisons because those players redefined being big men in the NBA. They could do things you don't expect other players to do and still produce what's necessary on defense, like grabbing rebounds for fun. Add to that his ability to find the right pass, and you realize that Wemby's going to be a handful for NBA teams. Most players with a skill set like Victor's would try to do everything on their own. Wembanyama isn't afraid to make the big shot or move in the paint for a thunderous dunk, but he's also bold enough to distribute the ball and find the right option. His vision remains one of the most underrated aspects of his game, because how do you stop someone who has no weaknesses?
Especially when it's on background, they know that their name's not attached and they can speak candidly about a player's weaknesses.
And also doesn't mind sharing the spotlight with the rest of his team because of his insane ability to make the right call. Along with vision, you need to know how to execute those passes, and that's where Wemby's better than most players in his draft class, because not only does he find the right pass, he also makes it. Oh, and like I said earlier, Victor's a hard worker. Don't think for 1 second that he's going to rest on his laurels in the NBA. Wemby's made for the big stage. That much is certain. But he's also willing to work hard to get to that level. For most players, making it to the NBA is the best thing that can happen to them. I'm sure Wemby's not any different, but he's worked his way to the top and knows his ceiling is much higher than regular ball players. Most of his coaches talk about his hunger to learn more and improve all the time.
Going to work on Mike Sell. Turnaround jumper on the baseline, good.
This is going to be a key factor in Wemby realizing his true potential, and if he does get to that level, there's no doubt that he's going to be an unstoppable force in the NBA. I'm talking all-timer level because the potential is clearly there. All he needs is a good coach, and it doesn't really get better than Pop, if we're being honest. Add other intangibles to the mix, and you've got yourself a force of nature. No wonder most players and franchises are already sweating at the chance of facing him. For instance, check out what Victor had to say about teams tanking just to get a shot at signing him. The Frenchman explained that he doesn't like losing, no matter what the situation. Then, he even called out the NBA insiders who were approaching his agent, asking him to not play a lot of games to avoid injuries ahead of the NBA draft in 2023. I loved his agent's response, who told them that Wemby loves to be out on the court, so there's no way he shuts himself down. These things are very important in terms of success. He's someone who'd want to play every single game and hates losing. What more could you want, especially given the skill set he has?
Absorbing that assignment and forcing a tough shot.
But the thing that stands out the most for me is his leadership ability. Victor embraces the fact that he's different from most players, and he uses that to lead by example. If he can translate that to the NBA, it's going to be curtains for everyone else. So, from the intangibles that complement his brilliant skill set to being hailed as a league-altering talent, this was why Victor Wembanyama is making the NBA go crazy.